Good afternoon YouTube, it's Matey Grimlock. I'm back again with another video for you. Today I'm going to be having a look at Transformers Prime, Beast Hunters, Cyberverse, Legion, Predacons, Abominus. Mouthful liking it. But before I do any of that, time for a little bit of this. Housekeeping! A week ago today we had the Northern Meet in Newcastle, which was absolutely awesome. Honestly, I had such a good time. It was just one of the best days ever. It was up there with Auto Assembly, to be fair. It was very good fun. We were drinking from like 11 o'clock till 11 o'clock and there was a bit of shop stuff going on in between, but I met some really cool people. A lot of people who I haven't seen before, a lot of people who I met once or met very briefly, and some old returning friends, which was really nice. I just had a class day, absolutely class day. Got to meet Monkey again, and Nosy and Sam. Who else was there? Kal-El Prime, Dave, and Andy Millman, Cobra Commander, who were two lads I met at Auto Assembly very briefly, who were from this area, who I just didn't get to speak to, so it was awesome getting to meet you lads, and yeah, I just really enjoyed myself. Liam Shalhoub is a nutter, and there were some other people there like Patrina, who I didn't meet at Auto Assembly, although I did appear in a couple of pictures with her. It's a bit weird. But anyway, it was awesome. But the crown jewel of the Newcastle meet was meeting PaulyPaulyPooPoo. That bloke is a legend. I'd had a message off Paulie saying he was going to come down, and he turned up just after 11 o'clock. He's like, "Oh, got your birthday present." I was like, "What? What'd you get as a birthday present for? I've never met you before. That's a bit raj." But anyway, he got me a birthday present, and here it is. Truck power! It's a gigantic GoBot. Absolutely huge truck thing. So yeah, this thing is absolutely immense, and honestly my kids loved it. My littlest, who plays with rescue bots, thinks this is like some kind of gigantic rescue bot, and it's pretty cool, like, to be fair. Transforms as well. Go bots! He is mint. Thank you very much, Paulie, for that. I like him a lot, he's cool. Doesn't end there though. Towards the end of the night, Paulie just produced this little carrier bag that he'd been carrying around all day of things that he'd been buying, and pulled out a couple of Transformers, and one of which was this little guy. Cybertron Legends Class Hotspot. How awesome is he? I just picked him up and started playing with him and said, "Wow, he's absolutely brilliant," and Paulie just went, "You can have him." Thank you very much, Paulie. It was much appreciated, and this guy is awesome. Right, should we do a review? Today I want to take you on a little trip through all the different Terracons that came out in the Cyberverse line from Beast Hunters, and then we'll show you Abominus at the end. So without further ado, Ripper Snapper. Now Ripper Snapper is pretty cool. He's got quite a nice little alt mode here, which really reminds me of some sort of Godzilla or Kaiju or something.
Today we are cancelling the apocalypse!
Oh, that would make an awesome film. He looks ace from the side, but as soon as you turn him round he falls apart a little bit. Ripper Snapper's legs are far too wide apart, and he's got this really odd protrusion on his belly, which is a bit too like Quarto for my liking.
Open your mind. Open your mind.
Colour-wise, he's quite a nice little blue colour with grey and then some yellow paint, which works quite well, I think. He also comes in 3 different flavours. See-through not as good quality flavour, and Cindersaw flavour. Yes, I also have the Predacons Rising set of Abominus, so I have all of these in Predacon Rising colours, which basically just means translucent plastic, and to be honest, they're not as good. It's in his robot mode where things start to fall down, quite literally in some cases. Yay! He does have a really nice face sculpt, and the upper body is really cool, but these feet, oh, they're terrible. It's almost as if the Hasbro designer's thought process went a bit like this. We're going to be left with some kibble when he's transformed into robot mode. Should we just make it his feet?
Oh yes, that's a very good idea, I think so, yes.
And that's what they did. His feet are basically just giant blocks of kibble. The rest of him is really tidy and really nice, but his feet just, oh, they're awful. Absolutely terrible. I don't like them at all. If you compare the 3 different variations of this mould, I think the actual original one that comes by itself is probably the best version. Although the Cindersaw is very nice, and he's basically exactly the same as that one, just different colours. Whereas the Predacons Rising one, the translucent plastic just makes his quality a little bit poor, and he gets a bit loose and not so good. Next up, it's the leader of the pack, Hun-Gurrr! Hun-Gurr's ult mode is, I have to say, awesome. I love this two-headed dragon beastie, which is really, really cool. And he's got teeny little Tyrannosaurus arms, which is really nice. His Predacon's Rising counterpart's pretty cool as well, to be honest, and he compares pretty well with them. His plastic's a slightly different colour as well. The grey on this one is like a pinky grey on this one. I don't like that as much. His bot mode is a nice, chunky little monkey, slightly kibbly arms, although you can do this. Yeah, if you wanted to, you can turn him into Wolverine. But yeah, he's nice and squat and bulky and muscly, and he looks really cool, and he really, really reminds me of a Space Marine from Warhammer.
Forged in blood, tempered in battle. We are the living weapons of humanity. The Space Marines.
The Predacon's Rising one is quite cool. He doesn't have any of the quality issues of Ripper Snapper, but I still prefer the original one. Next up we have Blight, who is a cross between a Xenomorph from Aliens and a Grunt from Halo, and he's really, really cool. I do like him a lot. He could have been my favourite, but he's not. Mostly due to the fact that he has fists sticking out of his ankles. Not a good look, Blight. Blight is also the only one whose Predacon Rising counterpart I actually prefer. Instead of this weird sort of purpley plastic here, he has grey plastic, and I think it suits him a bit better. There's no point beating around the bush. Blight's bot mode is awesome. Nice one, Blight! My second favourite beastie is Twin Strike. Twin Strike is unbelievably awesome. He's so much fun, and he's got articulated heads that you can just move wherever you fancy. Oh, he's class. And what's better than having one Cerberus type doggy? Having two! Yeah, the Predacon's Rising one is a lot lighter shade of blue. This one's a bit green. And obviously translucent yellow plastic rather than the normal plastic. I can't really tell which one I prefer. I think I prefer the original one. He has a really cool transformation, and he turns into this beautiful bot. Oh, I have no issues whatsoever with Twin Strike. He looks fantastic in both modes and both versions. In fact, if I have a problem at all, it's that I can't look at him without imagining him wearing a ruffle shirt and a pair of flares. And number one on my list, my absolute favourite, has got to be Windraiser. He is awesome. Probably wouldn't be everyone's favourite, to be fair, because he is a little bit weird, but I really, really like him. I love his ult mode. Look at the wingspan on that. That is amazing. Totally reminds me of Sauron from the X-Men. Not so keen on his Predacon Rising version, mind. I don't like the green. He's a lot darker green on the original release. The wings, the wings, the wings. Bot mode's lovely too, like. Really, really nice. He's all lanky and wiry and kibble-tasty arms. But you know what? I love those arms. They're real proper Badfink style arms. And there's the two of them together just for a bit of a comparison. They look really cool. I like the transformation, and he's definitely my favourite out of the whole set. It's time to build Giant Robot! Combining an Abominus is a lot of fun. Although you actually only get the instructions if you buy the Predacon Rising one. If you buy them all individually, you don't get any instructions, so you just kind of have to guess. But he's really cool. I like him a lot. He is a bit of an abomination. He's got pointy bits and limbs and things floating all over the place, and he looks like an evil monster. Comparing the two, they're both pretty cool. I still prefer the original set as opposed to the Predacon's Rising set, but they're both really nice. And if you can get them, go for it. There's Abominus' lovely little abomination face. Here's a quick size comparison with IDW Bumblebee. So you can see when they're all combined, they're pretty much the same height as the standard deluxe nowadays, which actually is really awesome, especially for Cyberverse toys. I think the fact that they've got this level of detail and this level of playability and this level of transformation and just this general level of awesomeness out of 5 little Cyberverse Legion figures, he's brilliant. I really like him a lot, and I love the fact that Hasbro are experimenting and playing around and doing things like this because he's just so much fun. Incidentally, if this set is the only set you have, you've probably been thinking I've been naming them all wrong. On the back of here, every single bot, with the exception of Twin Strike, has been given the wrong name. Epic fail, Hasbro! Right, this has been Mighty Grimlock. That has been Cyberverse Terracons. I hope you've enjoyed it. I shall return for more soon. Bye! forgot to mention they've got weapons.